Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being with me again today. My name is Kensley. And guys, we have heard it time and time and time again that Russia don't want a ceasefire and that Putin is the one prolonging this war. So, I have a very interesting video to share with you regarding this. And later on in the video, we'll be discussing together the new Russian missile, the new nuclear-powered missile. We'll be going over it together and I'll be giving my opinion on it. So, guys, let's get started. So, first, the video. An interesting video I saw recently. Let's go through it together. And let's see what Mr. Lavrov has to say.
We don't want to create some discomfort for the United States, which is under huge, unbelievable pressure from the European hawks, from Zelensky and others who don't want to have any American-Russian cooperation on anything. So there are enough people who are not very polite and who impose themselves upon Washington politicians and use each and every means to undermine the process which could have achieved its goals some time ago in Ankara.
So, this video was from an interview with the Russian Foreign Minister, Mr. Lavrov, Sergei Lavrov. And in this interview, he was asked why didn't Russia want to accept a ceasefire deal? And here, Mr. Lavrov was telling the interviewer that Russia's position has always remained the same, meaning that Russia has always pushed for a peace plan. Now, when I get further into the video, you will understand why the Russia is pushing for a peace plan and why the war hawks in Europe are not happy with this plan. Remember the meeting that Trump had with Putin in Alaska? Remember what was said? The readouts, or let's say what Trump said after that meeting was done. He said the meeting was good and that let them push for a peace plan instead of a ceasefire. Now, a lot of people, a lot of the Western warmongers in Europe and also in the West, and also in US, they don't like that idea of getting to a peace plan rather than a ceasefire, because the ceasefire, they know it's not going to be genuine. They know they want to use the ceasefire to buy time so Ukraine can continue fighting, and maybe so that the so-called coalition of the willing can join in on the fight. And that is why they are always looking for an American backstop, because the United States of America say they will not be involved in this plan, but the European leaders are not happy. So, because of the United States of America will not be involved, they themselves, they are not certain on how they should continue this. So, we are going to watch the rest of the interview and hear what Mr. Lavrov is saying.
He said, we had an extremely productive meeting and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. That was his statement at the press conference in Anchorage. So he went public with this assessment, which fully coincides with our assessment. And the very significant statement was made on the 16th of August, when he came back to Washington from Alaska, and he said, a great and very successful day in Alaska. It was determined by all that the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement which would end the war, and not a mere ceasefire agreement. This is key.
This is key, he said. Remember this word that you just listened to, the word of President Trump, what he said after the meeting with President Putin in Alaska. And that will explain why Mark Rutte immediately go to Washington unannounced. I went to Washington unannounced. The day that President Trump announced that he and Putin will be having a meeting in Hungary. Unannounced, I think 2 days after that statement was made, he quickly rushed to Washington to convince President Trump not to go for that meeting. And the next thing we know, the meeting is cancelled. And not just was that meeting cancelled, but the position of the United States changed drastically. You see, the United States position has always been, at least President Trump's position has been that he understands the Russians, like he understands why the Russians are angry, and why this war has been going on, and he wants to end this war. So in order to end it, he has to listen to both sides. He has to listen to the side of Russia, and he has to listen to the side of Ukraine. Then he will balance in the middle. But you see, the recent events of the past few days has been different. Now, rather than being in the middle, President Trump now is leaning to the side of Ukraine or the warmongers in Europe, because they have seen that this war is not going according to their plan. The Ukraine lines are falling. Their so-called wonder weapon, the Flamingo and every other thing, they can't meet up the production. And their hope for a quick defeat of Russia is no longer working. So they want each and every one of them to come together and fight Russia. So that's exactly why these guys are trying to, pull Trump into their midst. We will continue with the rest of the video. Then let's get to listen to the rest of his statement.
He answered to all those who were since the probably beginning of spring this year, they radically changed their rhetoric, and before they were saying no cessation of hostilities, Russia must be defeated, strategic defeat, and so on and so forth. Then, as of spring, about that time, they started saying immediate ceasefire without any precondition, and they continue to sing this song until now. Rutte, Macron, by the way, when they shifted to this logic, ceasefire, stop the killings without preconditions, and then we'll see how it goes. And Macron was asked whether this cessation of hostilities, ceasefire, includes the pause in providing weapons to Ukraine. He said, no, it does not. No preconditions at all.
Now, you guys heard that? You see, no matter how much you lie, eventually the world will catch up with it. That is exactly what is happening to the West and to the warmongers in the West. Remember this. Earlier, during the start of this war, they don't want a ceasefire because, according to them, Russia will rearm. Russia will, will reposition itself for, to come back. So they don't want that. They want a total defeat of Russia on the battlefield. So, what has changed now? What has changed? Why are they no longer pushing for a total Russia defeat or Russia to, you know, to lose as they have been clamoring since the beginning of this war. Just as simple because all their plans are shattered. Their economy is in shambles. I mean, look at what China is doing to them recently. Look at how Germany, that is the heart of EU, look how their economy is falling apart. Now they have upped the game to play I believe, the strongest sanction they could so far. And let's see how Russia will go through this new sanction that have been imposed on them. Let's see if they can be able to handle this. If they handle these sanctions, then I don't know what else they're going to the Europeans are going to do to Russia. And interestingly enough, you know, when when Lavrov said that Macron was asked if okay, if let's say we agree to this so-called ceasefire that you want us to agree to, does it mean will you stop sending weapons to Ukraine while we are talking about to finalize the peace plan? Macron said no. We won't stop sending weapons to Ukraine. We're just going to pause the fighting because we are losing so badly. So we need to catch up with you. You will pause the fighting, and then we will be in a better position to challenge you. Who plans? Who are they to think that that they dictate the rules for the Russians? These guys never cease to amaze me because another point of observation again is in Zelensky language. Guys, you remember when uh, uh, Zelensky flat out refused that there will be no exchange of territory to the Russians for either a condition for a ceasefire or a condition of peace. Then what is the point of to have the ceasefire after all? If the ceasefire will not lead to a pause of weapon, if the ceasefire, according to Zelensky, that is not going to exchange any territory, so why should Russia agree to a ceasefire then? It means these guys are not even serious to end the war, as they have been saying. They just want to be in a better position to continue this war. That is what they are looking for. And the point is that they want to introduce their own so-called coalition of the willing forces into the battlefield so that they can, support Ukraine in one way or the other and maybe try to, shift the tide in Ukraine favor. Perhaps then, let's probably finish the video then. I'll show you the next topic, which is about the new Russia weapon. So let's get to it.
So when President Trump, after Anchorage, bluntly, publicly stated that in his conviction, it is not a ceasefire, but a sustainable, durable peace, which, as he said, uh, must be a long-term peace, a very long-term. And another quotation, we are not talking about a 2-year peace and then we end up in this mess again. When people now say nothing but a ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, and then history will judge. It's a very radical change. But this also means that the Europeans, they don't sleep, they don't eat, they try to twist the hands of this administration. So this is all reflected in many discussions. President Putin addressed this issue regularly. When he is asked by journalists, when he meet with President Trump, with Prime Minister Orban, Prime Minister Fico, all those who are interested in talking to Russia, better understanding Russia's position, they always have a chance, an opportunity to come and discuss whatever is of interest. We long ago reached agreement with our.
So, guys, I think that is the end of the slide that I really wanted to bring to you guys. So we know that the ceasefire is not a ceasefire for end of hostilities, but rather a pause in Russian victory. That is what I want to show to you in this video. How the hypocrisy of the West is being displayed for all to see. And their so-called peace is not actually, their so-called ceasefire. It's not actually a ceasefire, but it has an hidden agenda to continue this war. Enough of that, let me tell you about this new Russian nuclear weapon. It's interesting, but I don't think it's a game changer as, people might think. I think it's a really powerful missile, but it's not a game changer. Okay, just get. Okay. Ukraine war briefing. Russia claimed tests of nuclear-powered missile, codenamed as Flying Chernobyl. Okay, I'm going to try to pronounce the name of this missile. Burevestnik stayed in the air for 13 hours. The first minister tells Vladimir Putin. Okay, so let's read more. Vladimir Putin claimed Russia has successfully tested its Burevestnik cruise missile, said to be both powered by a nuclear engine and capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. So that's 2-in-1 nuclear option. 2-in-1 nuclear when it comes in bundle. It has been called a flying Chernobyl by arms control experts, people in the West, because it's powered by a nuclear reactor, and depending on the design, but then it potentially spews out radioactive exhaust as it flies. I don't think that's happened. On the weekend, Russia top general Valery Gerasimov told Putin the missile traveled 14,000 kilometers and was in the air for about 15 hours. That's a long time. When it was tested in 21st October, the missile has been dubbed the SSC-X9 Skyfall by NATO. Russia has regularly threatened that the Ukraine war could go nuclear. For example, if Allies join Ukraine on the battlefield or provide it with long-range strike weapon as they have done, like Tomahawk. A major nuclear. Okay, I think this part is about when they were developing the missile in a nuclear incident that happened. A major nuclear accident in August 29 killed 5 Russian scientists who were suspected to have been working on the missile or something similar. The incident released radiation into the surrounding area. That's November, awarding posthumous decoration to the Putin family. Putin said they were working on an unparalleled weapon. So, well, let me show you guys something interesting. So here's what I think about this missile. The fact that the missile can stay in the air for months, to be honest with you, for months, means that it is a slow missile. Like, it's not fast. So, because it's slow, it's not going to be like a first strike option. It's going to be probably maybe like a second strike or a third strike or something. When they deliver a fast strike missile, like for instance, like the Oreshnik missile and the Samats that the Russia have, those missiles are way faster than this missile. But here's the thing: this missile can just be on the air for maybe for days and pick out targets that after the Oreshnik and other powerful missile has done the first damage, then it can strike later. So that, to me, I think that will be how they will use this missile. But it's interesting to see the reaction of the reaction of Europe to this missile. I think we have had a reaction already from President Trump. He was asking on his way to Japan that, Russia just launched a new missile. What do you think about it? And he said, well, the Russians shouldn't be launching missiles. That the United States has a submarine close to Russia, whatever, whatever, whatever. But the Russians do not do this for America. Like, they do this for their own national security. So him going ahead to, say that, yeah, we have a submarine close to Russia, is him just looking, he's just looking weak. And, Europe that have been, saying that Russia don't have any Russia run out of money, they're taking ships from washing machine and so on and so forth. Well, this new missile is about to be the most expensive washing machine, weapon. That is what it is. It's a washing machine weapon. It's not new. So the Europeans should not be afraid of it since Russia is already weak. So guys, thank you for being with me again today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.